Warriors of the Keyblade, go forth and bring me more hearts.
No!
Disney, Final Fantasy, and anime boys, all inhabiting the same universe and interacting with each other, is an awesomely absurd premise, one that KH1 somehow manages to meld together near seamlessly. It has this gothic atmosphere filled with darkness demons and shadowy masterminds, filtered through the aesthetic and emotional sincerity of Disney's classics. The Final Fantasy characters are altered to match the game's more dark Disney-esque design philosophy, along with Sora himself having a great blend of Disney and FF aesthetics. It's almost like there's this naturally occurring sliding scale from one extreme to the other. Likewise, original locales like Traverse Town give off this warmth of a nighttime stroll through Disneyland, while worlds like Hollow Bastion and the End of the World match the tone of Disney's darkest moments. Overall, KH1 just has this vibe about it that connects everything together, and it manages to make its more obviously contrasting elements work by keeping them as low-key as possible. Donald and Goofy in general are kept very subdued in every world they visit, and are more often than not near silent. Once in a while, you'll get a gag out of Donald and a side character, but otherwise the two only really interact with the Disney and FF characters to ask questions.
She could never fall for a guy like me.
Oh, what's that?
Jasmine, open.
Like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Meanwhile, the Disney villains stick to business, discussing their plans or the mechanics of the larger KH universe, rather than engaging in any silly shenanigans that could arise from these larger-than-life personalities. And finally, something like Cloud and Hades interacting is kept to one exchange. Basically, while KH1 embraces being a crossover in its themes, atmosphere, and aesthetics, it very clearly restrains itself when it comes to playing up the absurdity of these characters interacting. The crossover is subtle and unobtrusive, never making a spectacle of itself because it had a story to tell and an immersive tone it tries hard not to break. For as weird as its premise is, Kingdom Hearts 1 only feels weird to me when I stop to think about it. And that's where Kingdom Hearts 2 deviates. Everything about how Kingdom Hearts 2 handles being a crossover feels like an unhinged version of what was established in KH1. The tutorial world Final Fantasy characters from Destiny Islands were fun little cameos who taught you about fighting mechanics, stoked the fires of Sora's rivalry with Riku, and were tastefully dispatched off screen as Destiny Islands succumbed to darkness. They were recognizable, but never focused on, blending into the background to add to the aesthetic of Destiny Islands. In KH2, however, we have the distorted body of Vivi being possessed by demonic sock puppets. Cypher is a loudmouth punk with a heart of gold, and Setzer is here to bribe and beat up children so he can keep his title as Foam Bat Champion. These are louder and more focused on personalities, which in universe are just the simulated copies of their real selves who get trash talked by Donald Duck.
Yeah, you big palooka.
Okay, smart Alex.
Speaking of Tidus and Waka, Donald freaking hates Final Fantasy X, growing continually frustrated by the fairy-fied versions of the Gullwings and taking great joy in tricking them into leaving him alone. It's great. Not to mention that Auron made fun of him for being his friend, so he's never gonna purchase the HD collection now. Speaking of Auron, holy crap dude, calm down, he's a Disney! KH1 teased the idea of a confrontation between Cloud and Hercules, and so KH2 completely embraces this concept and just has Auron Final Fantasy fight everyone, creating an entire mini-story between him and Hades and the camaraderie and attachment he forms towards our heroes. By the end of the second visit, we have a party consisting of Sora, Donald, Goofy, Auron, and eventually Hercules, all facing off against a Disney villain that they're all personally invested in stopping. It's incredible. And every single world in KH2 just has so much fun creating cool or sweet little moments through these interactions. The organization crossovers are as obvious as they are awesome, and we've covered a few of the Disney and Final Fantasy interactions, but what about the Disney and Disney crossovers? We have Goofy encouraging the Beast about the goodness in his heart, Donald Duck shooting, freezing, burning, and killing literal human beings, Genie comedically defeating Pete, Goofy's desire to help Iago, Donald making Princess Jasmine and Ariel laugh and smile, Maleficent and Oogie Boogie maniacally laughing together.
Are we done?
And of course, Merlin the Wizard teleporting to Disney Castle to summon a door to the past so that Pete can fight Pete for Maleficent. And so many more fun moments. Everything about Port Royal, holy crap. I know some people really hate the clashing art styles, and I can understand that, as sometimes I too hate fun. But this world's aesthetic is one of my favorites in the entire series, because the contrast is so blatant with the addition of Pete that it becomes transcendent. Jack Sparrow has held a Keyblade, you guys! It's the logical extreme of the ways the trio will clash with many of the Disney worlds, which feels even more hilarious when you factor in that the world just before this is one of the series' most seamless integrations. Fun fact, out of every villain that Pete teams up with, Captain Barbossa is the one to treat him with any respect. They exchange info with each other, Pete admires Barbossa's killer instinct, and Barbossa relies on Pete to come in for the sneak attack and last minute save. Like, what?
Show yourself, Pete! The tide has changed! See? I told you you'd be needing old Pete!
KH2 just embraces the contrast of these characters and the absurdity of its series concept with so much sincerity, always leaving a smile on my face and a memorable moment with me in every world we visit. Now, you might be thinking because of this that KH2 must feel incredibly disjointed then, that it's lost that perfect blending of Disney, Final Fantasy, and original content that felt so natural in KH1. But actually no. KH2 is very strong at making all these properties feel connected, even while highlighting their differences. So what do I mean by that? Well, for one, let's take a look at both games' versions of the Cerberus fight. In KH1, there's a clear distinction between the lumbering movements and large attacks of Cerberus, and the spinning and dodging hit-and-run tactics of Sora. Their fighting styles feel in character, so to speak, and this is a consistent attribute across all the Disney bosses and world party members. But where these encounters and characters interest me most is when these two contrasting styles collide. Sora can cast a fire spell to set Hook's pants ablaze, or cast gravity to bring Maleficent back down to Earth, along with all the unique recoils from tech point attacks. Just as well, characters like Ariel and Jack are mages, casting spells on the battlefield just like Sora. Through this, the idea that these characters are inhabiting the same space starts to feel even more real, as the two sides of Disney and original content begin to merge through gameplay. But because KH1 is a very low-key game, these moments are allowed to just happen. I reflect Cerberus's fireball back at him and go, "Ha, gotcha!" and then move on, with little to no fanfare. But then we have Cerberus in KH2, and holy crap, Sora just grabbed both of his heads! Bro, he puts the Keyblade in his mouth and whoa, Deli, then he grabs another head, he dodges, and BAM! He's out of there! Where Kingdom Hearts 1 felt like an even blend of Disney and anime influences, Kingdom Hearts 2 says to Disney, "You're anime now, and you're gonna like it." Every Disney boss and every Disney party member now feels just as stylized as Sora, or Auron, or Cloud, while also creating unique interactions between Sora and these Disney characters. Sora isn't just hitting Captain Barbossa, he's having a duel with him, a clash with Shan Yu, or kicking and scratching Scar who can summon the elements upon a skull-topped Pride Rock. In KH2, the combat is center stage, indulging in the spectacle by portraying these Disney characters through the stylized and cinematic lens, all while still keeping their personalities intact. Through this, everyone feels like they belong in the same universe because everyone feels like a badass anime character. A Kingdom Hearts 2 character, baby! And now we come to the second way KH2 connects all these properties together, and without a doubt, my favorite. Check this out.
What you doing?
I'll get him. This time, we settle it. Me and the one who embodies all the darkness in me.
I thought you looked kinda different, Cloud.
If I do, it's his fault.
Yes! This is it! It's so good! Look, I know this doesn't seem like a big deal. I know these lines aren't anything clever or crazy. But you know what is crazy? That this moment isn't Cloud Strife is talking to Donald Duck. It's instead Donald is concerned for his friend Cloud. Look at his sad little face! And the fact that Cloud casually responds to Donald like he knows him is just so cool because he does know him. We all know the next line, "Sora, it's Sephiroth!" But there's a bigger picture to this memed moment. It's not just funny because of what he says, it's funny because in context, Donald is ready to throw down with Sephiroth on behalf of his friend Cloud. And the sweet cherry on top is at the end of the battle for Hollow Bastion when this happens.
Sora! Donald! Goofy!
Relax. Those three aren't going down that easily.
Without context, the scene shows Cloud Strife acknowledging that an anime boy, a talking dog, and Donald freaking Duck can handle themselves in a fight. But in the context of KH2, this scene shows our friend Cloud having complete confidence in his boys, knowing full well that they got this. This is it. This right here is what I love so much. The casualness in which KH2 presents these characters as old friends and foes, and that's just a normal part of this universe, is not only hilarious to me, but weirdly connects everything together by having KH1 as this strange history they all share. It's the simple difference between this interaction,
Stubborn old goat, wouldn't you say?
Who are you?
and this one.
Hades!
You again?
Where one is a crossover through circumstance, the other is a crossover through a relationship or history. A status quo of connections that make this universe feel lived in such a silly and sincere way. And the fact that dynamics like these are the driving force for our heroes in every world they visit just puts the biggest and stupidest smile on my face.
But he's not here, Simba. It's all up to you now. And that means the important thing is what you're gonna do being the king.
Sora! Mulan! Hey, no time to talk. We gotta catch that guy.
Stop, thief! Hi, Sora! Come back here!
Even when characters are just explaining things or having casual conversations, I'm completely invested, because these interactions are contextualized through such a fun premise. Jack Sparrow isn't explaining parlay to Goofy, he's explaining it to an old crewmate who he just went on a pirate adventure with. Maleficent isn't talking to Oogie Boogie, she's talking to an old coworker. Hades is summoning Orin because he's the baddest guy he knows. And as a smaller example, I like how Sally doesn't even reintroduce herself to the trio when they arrive at Halloween Town, and instead just instantly asks Sora to help out because she knows him. I like how by the second visits, every world is just used to the fact that Heartless are a thing. And I love our third and final visit to Hollow Bastion, a world that captures that perfect blend of silly crossover chaos through compelling relationships. So what happens there? Well, the MCP and Sark begin using Ansem's technology to create an army of Heartless to invade Hollow Bastion. And so it's up to Sora, Donald, and Goofy to team up with their buddy Tron and the Hollow Bastion Restoration Committee for one last hurrah. All the while Sid and Merlin the Wizard create a magic disc that will enhance Tron's abilities so that he may destroy the MCP.
Yeah!
After some flashy combat and teamwork, the day is saved and hugs are bestowed. Sora's more of a hello hugger than a goodbye hugger, it seems, though at least he's always up for a tickle fight.
This!
Please stop that.
And as thanks for all that his friends have done, whether fighting alongside him or allowing him to know what friendship truly feels like, Tron grants them a gift. A glimpse into what Hollow Bastion used to look like a decade before, back when it was a beautiful and radiant garden. In its own strange way, the universe of KH2 feels just as connected to me as KH1, and it's that feeling of belonging and connection despite their differences that encompasses all of Kingdom Hearts 2. But most of all, it's what makes me love a world like 100 Acre Wood, one of my favorite Disney worlds in the entire series. A world where, as soon as Sora walks in, Pooh Bear reacts with a cute little "Oh!" A world where everybody looks up to this kid and sees him as a leader they can turn to, because time and time again, he's looked out for them. A world where Rabbit can see this tall anime boy rocking his black and gold outfit and just go, "Oh hey Sora, how's it going?" It's my favorite example of this contrast, because it's the purest form of what Sora has been doing this entire game, helping his lovably colorful and unique cast of friends, restoring their worlds piece by piece as the overarching story progresses, and motivated by the simple desire to help out a friend. In this case, helping Pooh Bear return back to normal. The extra emotional layer to this is Pooh's memory loss, and how much this clearly starts to affect Sora. At a certain point, you can tell that Sora has in some way accepted that maybe his friend won't ever remember him, yet he continues to take care of his little buddy. All until...
No, it's just your tummy grumbling. You must be hungry. Come on, let's head home and see if we can find you some honey.
I'd like that, Sora.
Pooh! You finally remembered!
Remembered what, Sora?
Pooh.
I like it ever so much when you're cheerful, Sora.
Me too, Pooh.
Where in Kingdom Hearts 1, it was just cool to see Sora replace Christopher Robin on the cover of Winnie the Pooh. In Kingdom Hearts 2, I'm tearing up at seeing these two friends finally back where they belong.